We're here today with Jim Ham, past president of AMATYC. We're going to do a little interview with him to see what his experiences were like during his presidency. So, Jim, I'd like to start by asking you how you got involved with AMATYC in the first place.
Well, when I started in 1994, Jim Rosnowski was my division chair. He was also an AMATYC president, and I think three before me. And I was new at the college, and they said, "Hey, we're going to a conference down in Tulsa, and you're coming." Okay, I'm coming. And I think about 8 to 10 of us went down there, and I think I was hooked on the AMATYC conference. I mean, I went down there to look for activities to supplement my classes, and I benefited from every session. Every session, I thought there was something that I could take away. So I was hooked.
Oh, that's great. I had the same experience at my first conference. If I were a new instructor teaching math at a community college, what would you tell me about AMATYC?
You have the rock stars in math through your colleges attending our conferences and presenting at our conferences. And if you want to know what is the most up-to-date, state-of-the-art technology, just about everything, every concurrent session that I've gone to in AMATYC, there were multiple choices for me to go and learn. And in this job, professional development is a career-long task. And AMATYC has been amazing for me, and it can be amazing for them as well. And it's not just the conference where they go see wonderful sessions, but it's also this whole network that they can go on my AMATYC and they can pose a question and they can get responses back from their colleagues. If you want to be a leader in a national organization, there are opportunities for you there.
As president, did you have specific goals that you wanted to accomplish during your term?
As you know, with AMATYC, when you get elected to be president, you actually serve 2 years as president-elect, and then 2 years as president, and 2 years as past president. What I like to think about it is that, okay, now it's your turn to carry forth what the membership wants you to carry forth. Generally, every 6 years, we create this strategic planning document where the members say, AMATYC, this is what we would like you to focus on. But, I certainly, like others, have my preferences. And so pathways was one of the things, the idea that we should try to get students to their career and educational goals in terms of a math course, instead of just throwing everyone in intermediate algebra and hoping they find their path along the way. So pathways was one. Another one, co-requisites, was another big idea that came up, this notion of putting students into a co-requisite course as opposed to a prerequisite standalone developmental course. I'm a big fan of the quantitative reasoning or the math for liberal arts course. So I focused a little bit on that and the content of that course, and of course, data science. We have lots of students, and more are wanting to pursue data science. And so it's important to get those students into their majors courses in the first 2 years. And so that was another priority that I had.
During your presidency, was there one piece of advice that helped you more than others?
Yeah, and I think I followed it. And that is, we're all volunteers. And I think we have, our paid staff in Memphis, and we have our executive director who does a whole lot. But the rest of us are volunteers who have full-time jobs. And so I guess the best advice that I received is that you can't do it all. This job can be all consuming, and you need to focus on what you value most and then delegate other things to others, because you've got a whole team there, the whole board, and all the folks doing the competitions and the committee folks and so on. There's a lot of people who will step up if asked. And the advice was to take advantage of that, and I did.
Do you have a favorite class to teach?
Yeah, I have two. I like the math for liberal arts, And I enjoy teaching most of the topics in there. I would prefer to teach the interesting applications that we have in that course, like just this past week, voting and apportionment. And there's so many other, wonderful topics in that course, like the math of finance, that, is just very, very useful for any student who is about to go out into the world and start earning money. And you need to know some of the principles of the math of finance early on in your work career so that you enjoy the benefits later on. And I always enjoy teaching the math of finance from that class. The other big one that I like is statistics, especially now with the big data, the real data that you can bring in and show relationships to students that they'd never even thought to consider. Statistics is a big favorite of mine as well.
Has the role of the traditional college algebra course changed during your career?
So I think in the past, we have so many students who, what today we would call, they're getting in the STEM pathway because they took college algebra. But if you look at what they did after college algebra, you will find that most of them, probably a majority of them, over 50%, did nothing more than college algebra. So their capstone course was college algebra. And if you compare that course alone to, say, these other ones like statistics or quantitative reasoning, then I would say probably the other two courses would be much better for most students, the quantitative reasoning and the statistics, much better than taking college algebra alone. However, if those students then also go on to the upper STEM courses and get through calculus, then they have so many more doors open for them. Right. And so I think that's always a good pathway. So I would like the pathways to say, the quantitative reasoning or the statistics or calculus, so that students just don't go and take college algebra, many of whom have seen most of those topics in high school, right, and take something that might be a little bit more relevant to their major or their career aspirations.
What are some of the obstacles that our students face today?
And I think one of the main reasons that students do not succeed in college, some of the barriers would be they don't have very good support structures. And the students that do have very good support structures, if the car breaks down, they've got an alternative. If they get sick, they have someone who can, step up and help them out if they have things that they need to do, like take care of family and so on. But for students, and we've all seen these at the two-year college, some students will say, hey, my car broke down, I can't get to work, I can't get to school. And there's no support system there to help them get there. Some students have very fast internet connections at home. Others have to travel to a public space to get Wi-Fi. So there's all of these inequities out there, and sometimes they're just too big to overcome when there's a life event. And sometimes the car or the illness might take students away for 2 weeks. And for many students that have no support structure, that's a very, very difficult thing to bounce back from. I don't think it's the difficulty of the math courses that lead, for the most part, that lead students to fail.
If someone wanted to be involved in a leadership role in AMATYC, how would they get started?
If we have members out there who are interested in playing a leadership role in AMATYC, do what I did, walk into a committee meeting and volunteer to do something. Back in the mid-90s, I volunteered one day in a committee meeting to be their website coordinator, just for that little committee. And that just led to more and more things. And if you volunteer and you get to know folks and you do the work in the committee or whatever group you're on, you will be noticed and you will go up in this organization. And so if this is your passion to be a leader in a national organization, there's a place for you in AMATYC.
Okay, well, Jim, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview today.